Here's the geography of the Buckeye State, Ohio, explained in less than 5 minutes. Are you ready? Here we go. Ohio is a dominant state in the Midwestern United States, bordered by Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Kentucky, Indiana, Michigan, and sharing a water border with Ontario over Lake Erie. It's the 34th largest state by area, about the size of Mississippi or Bulgaria. And yet it is the 7th most populous, with nearly 12 million inhabitants. This makes Ohio the 10th most densely populated state. Ohio sits right at the crossroads of the American Northeast and the Midwest, conveniently located right between the navigable waterways of the Great Lakes and the Ohio River, making it a huge hub for logistics and trade. And meaning Ohio has the nation's 10th largest highway network. Ohio is known for being less than a day's drive from 50% of North America's population and 70% of its manufacturing capacity. The state has multiple seaports with access to the global oceans on both the Ohio River and Lake Erie, and the state's two largest ports, Cleveland and Toledo, rank within the nation's 50 largest, despite being hundreds of miles from the open ocean. Ohio owes much of its early development to waterborne trade, with barges having plied the natural waterways and artificial canals of the state for hundreds of years. The Ohio and Erie Canal is an especially important example, traveling all the way down the spine of the state and connecting the Great Lakes Basin to the Mississippi Basin, as well as the state's three largest cities of Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati. Ohio's shoreline on Lake Erie is the longest of any U.S. state. Lake Erie is interesting as it is by far the shallowest Great Lake. It's the only Great Lake whose bottom is above sea level. This means that pollution from the vast agricultural areas and industrial centers of Ohio has an outsized impact on the water quality of the lake. Up until very recently, the waterways flowing into Lake Erie from Ohio carried huge amounts of pollutants, with the Cuyahoga River, for example, being so polluted that it caught fire numerous times, spurring the creation of the Clean Water Act, since which the water quality in Lake Erie has recovered significantly, restoring many natural ecosystems. You can still see, coming out of the Maumee River, a large algal bloom due to intensive fertilizer use in the area, though, so more work is yet to be done. Lake Erie is also the only Great Lake which historically completely freezes over. However, this is becoming more rare due to climate change, subjecting the Ohio coastline to significant amounts of coastal erosion during intense winter storms. In the middle of Lake Erie, only about a mile from the Canadian border, Ohio also controls the Bass Archipelago and Kelly's Island. Interestingly enough, North Bass Island is further north than Canada's southernmost point at Middle Island, meaning that yes, there are parts of Ohio that are further north than parts of Canada. As far as land is concerned, the state is split into two main regions, the Western Lowlands and the Appalachian Plateau. The state as a whole is extremely low-lying, with a high point of only about 1,300 feet at Campbell Hill. Yes, this is a picture of Ohio's highest point. However, whereas Western Ohio is nearly completely flat, Eastern Ohio does have some steeper hills and narrow river valleys, more reminiscent of neighboring West Virginia than the rest of the Midwest. As a result of this topography, the entire southeastern third of Ohio is home to only about 12% of Ohioans. In the state's northwest, you'll find a particularly flat area that is the former location of one of the largest inland swamp areas in North America, the Great Black Swamp. What used to be an extremely dense and biodiverse wetland was a huge nuisance to navigation and transport in the area, and as such, in the later half of the 1800s, almost the entire swamp was drained and turned into an extremely productive agricultural area. Ohio is still home, though, to a huge diversity of forest ecosystems, including at its only national park, Cuyahoga Valley, which is unique for sitting right between the major urban areas of Akron and Cleveland. This park is known for being one of the most densely developed national parks in the country, with one of its primary purposes being to preserve the industrial heritage of the region. The divide between western and eastern Ohio can be explained by the presence of glaciers during the last ice age, which crushed any existing topography in the western part of the state, but avoided the Appalachian Plateau. Ohio's economy is relatively on par with the rest of the country, with a slightly below average median income and human development index, but ranking very highly in terms of business-friendly policies. Ohio is traditionally a swing state, but has been trending Republican in recent elections. The largest industries in the state are manufacturing and financial services, and in fact, Ohio has the third largest manufacturing workforce of any state, only behind the much larger California and Texas. And it also has the only non-rectangular state flag, which I think is pretty cool. Some cool places to visit include the aforementioned Cuyahoga Valley National Park, Cedar Point Amusement Park, which sits on a peninsula in Lake Erie, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, West Side Market, Hocking Hills State Park, and of course, Ohio Stadium. Ohioans, let me know what I forgot or got wrong in the comments down below, and everybody else, let me know where you think we should go next. And in case you're curious why Ohio almost went to war with its northern neighbor Michigan over the city of Toledo, go check out my other video on the borders of Michigan and the Toledo War. Thank you so much for watching. Follow for more geography content.